How you doing, Internet? I'm Beanuts, and today we will be taking a look at the Aoshima Character Kit Selection, or ACKS, Variable Fighter Girls, or VFG VF-31J Siegfried. If that's a mouthful, well, you can figure that the rest of the things coming out of Macross will also be. And of course, this is a kit by Aoshima. It's not Bandai or Kotobukiya. And it comes to me from Ami. I bought it on sale, so you can probably get it through them. However, be aware that there is also a 35th anniversary version which supposedly has better articulation, but I bought this long before that came out. And I wanted to do this video, and I wanted to do it before I put any of the stickers on to give you a good look at what it looks like without those stickers, because they are various and many, and as you can see, the art and the kit as I have assembled them, just straight, no stickers at all, look very, very different. And it was one of the things that I was disappointed with when I opened up the box and took a look at the contents. You can see right there what it looks like without any stickers on, so that's just the plastic. And the stickers that you get include just eyes in VFG, this massive sheet, this is for the variable fighter, it might mostly be for the girl as well. I think it's okay out of the box if you're not concerned with color accuracy, and there's a lot to be considered, such as she's supposed to have fingerless gloves, but none of the hands are colored that way. So you've got some open holding hands for stuff, you've got straight finger hands, and the splayed finger hands I've got on her right now. You also have two alternate faces, one shouting and one blank, so that you can use those stickers that I showed off earlier. Before I proceed further, perhaps I should explain that in Macross, these variable fighters have different modes that they can achieve. I'm not sure why they have some of the various modes that they do, such as why the Gearwalk mode exists when you have the Droid. Maybe it's different levels of focus and energy, but they have that. So they have the fighter mode, which is the one to start off with, and they're separate. We have the Gearwalk, which the girl can ride, and we have the Droid, which she can wear as armor, which I think is pretty cool. And if you're looking back here near the end of the instruction manual, which is in booklet form, you have the parts list, and it looks pretty intimidating as it is labeled from A until X, with some of them being doubles. However, you will notice that many of them, most of them, are pretty small runners, which means that you're working with a lot less than you may think you are. But then of course you have the decals and instructions there for applying the different markings, as well as for the girl. And they do include most of the instructions for that in the manual as well as you're building. But I wanted to make sure there was some aspect within my review of what it would look like without those. And as well, most of the instructions will look familiar to anyone who has built a snap-fit model kit before. However, there are also some parts of it, some aspects, which will look unfamiliar, and so you will need the guide in order to interpret them. And there will be some points where you will need to interpret the instructions and try to guess what they mean. And for example, putting on this neck part and forcing it past the neck, I probably didn't do it 100% properly, but it is there. I just found that I had to keep on trying to get it past the neck to put it in, and that took me a long time to do. though the girl really didn't take me nearly as long to build as the VF itself. So you will need to interpret the instructions at some point, though the most annoying thing I found was trying to find the markings on the runner. And you can't actually see it that well here, but this is the U runner and it says it right there. Let's see if I can get... There we go. It says it right there, that U. And since it's so small, it does take a long time in order to try and find which those runners are. And since there are so many, if you're going through them all, trying to find which runner you're supposed to use when, it can get pretty annoying. And then of course I mentioned that it has transform. It's variable fighter, of course, so it has transforming modes, but it is not technically a transformer, it is a partsformer. And in here we have most of this are the parts that are involved in the parts forming. So here you have the arms for the Batroid form, you have parts of the legs and the shins for the Gearwalk form, as well as the handlebars, which would be mounted over those parts, the clear pink parts. We have some hand covers, those are shins again. So you would have to disassemble the fighter in order to put that together. Now, the fortunate thing is that this is designed so that it should be fairly easy to pull apart. It's designed so that you should be able to pull it apart and reassemble it into its various forms without breaking things. However, I would advise care when doing so, just in case. You can never be too careful. Just in case you do end up breaking something, it may be a good idea to have some plastic cement on hand. I did not use plastic cement in most of the assembly. I did when her headband snapped, almost in one was a third piece, the other second, or 2/3 piece, and I cemented it together. It is an interesting choice that you have in the manual when it comes to that, because you can either choose that clear pink part for that, as well as up here and on the other side there, that little thing. You have a choice between a white part for the headband and blue parts for those parts, or you have a choice of those clear pink parts. And the thing with the plain plastic parts is that then it asks you to apply a sticker to those parts. So I chose to just go with the clear parts because it would be simpler that way and it would look much better. There's no alternate part for the clear pink in the nose cone, which I think might be the sensor suite. That's usually, I believe, where the sensor suite is in a fighter, and so that would make sense to me. So you have a choice there to use clear pink or to use just plain white plastic and blue plastic plus the stickers. But I think a lot of people are going to turn up their noses about the stickers and paint, but then you have the marking stickers, which more people are likely to apply because they're not as bad as the stickers one would find for color separation. Now, the other unfortunate thing about this kit is, as you probably noticed by now, it doesn't actually come with a stand, even for the VF. So I'm currently using one of the stands that comes included with, I believe, the Transient Gundam Glacier, as well as a Figma stand for the girl. It does come with a stand adapter for the back of the girl, although that's also straight into a port, so you don't necessarily need it. It's just for the angle there. And my guess is that Aoshima wants you to use one of their own stands, and maybe it doesn't have the right angle for that. But I have the right angle for that using a Figma stand. They're probably the best for if you want to get up high and if you want to get at specific angles, various angles for display. The other thing to watch out for is that you may, as you're building, experience some stresses on the plastic. One of the ankles, I had some stress there. Fortunately, there are some spare parts that I can use if that does break. So I can replace that ankle fairly easily. The clear pink part which snapped, not so easy to replace, so I just cemented that. And there are some parts as well on the plane itself that you may want to watch as you're putting it together, especially as the nose cone part joins the main body there. And it's not easy to put it on. It takes a significant amount of force, and therefore you're going to want to be careful about that. You're also going to want to be careful about the undergates, cleaning those up, as well as the various other marks. Nub marks, I didn't really do all that much with the nub marks, so you can see them in all their glory here. But later, I will apply some of the stickers so that I can display this in all its glory completed, and also in its various forms for the later parts of this review. And we will see that again shortly, although for me it will take a little more, well, it'll take a little longer for me to do, as I will be doing the cleanup, and I will also be applying the stickers in perhaps a few intervening days. So we'll see you then. So after a few somewhat stressful hours of stickering, you can tell now, or at least I could tell when I was starting, that this page was for the girl. Just that. But this page, and this page, they're for the plane. And here, well, you can tell I didn't use all of them because it just got a little bit crazy, and the instruction manual, unfortunately, does not show you exactly how some of the stickers are supposed to go on. So maybe you've got some extras there, but you've also got some things that are supposed to go on, and I couldn't really tell how they were supposed to be applied in some cases, and in other cases they just didn't make any sense. Here though, at least, it should become, or start to become obvious what some things are. You can sort of see the plane shape in there in the center, where the stickers are supposed to go to the fuselage and the cockpit and the wings and the other wings. And then, well, and then this is the result. Now, this may be a good opportunity for me to talk about stickers and when they work and when they don't, because there are some places where they do work here and others where they do not. In general, I think a sticker is good when it changes the appearance of whatever it's being applied to in a way where you can tell it's been changed, but you can't really tell it's a sticker. In a lot of cases on this, you can tell it's a sticker. And also, the stickers here often have trouble going over surface and around surface, so you can tell there are places where they are raised and peeling off. You can see it over here on the wings. On the ends of the wings you have the lights, which by the way I think was a nice little touch that you have these nav wings to tell, because they do that for port and starboard. There's also another light there over on the back. This is this way because I cut it. I didn't apply those as I was building it, and I was too lazy to take that off, but I'm probably going to peel those off. You also have a bunch of stickers for the vents. You have the ones on the top and the bottom on the other side there. When it comes around, you'll see it again. But you also have on these side thingies, whatever they're supposed to be, and you can see those are coming up. On the front, that's come up. On the top, that's come up. So those have already lost their adhesive edge. So I'm probably going to just peel those off and paint over them. Same thing, unfortunately, with a lot of these stickers. You can see they're all, a lot of the ones that aren't on flat surfaces, they're coming off. And I have tried sticking them back, and it may work for a bit, but then they come back up. And it's a shame too, because I applied some of the markings as well, and I'm going to have to deal with that somehow. Maybe I'll cut around them so that I can keep them, because they do look cool. And the manual doesn't say where to put them, so I put them where I wanted. And the cool thing is, about the one that says Aether on it, or Ether, I applied one to her leg and the other to the jet. So I put one on her leg here, and I put one on the jet here. And they are exactly the same sticker, but the way they're designed, you can put them on black and they'll appear whitish. You can put them on white and they'll appear blackish. The 05s one are black and white, as you saw previously when I showed you the marking sheets when they went on. But I do think that that's an interesting design choice. Now, of course, when if you're putting the stickers, the markings on, when you've already got the models assembled, then you may encounter some issues because you have to get around things. It helped that the wings can be folded up like that, because then I could get around, get those things. But still, as you can see, you try to stick those down again, it's going to come back up again. And even if it didn't, you know, look at the way that's come around. Not only is it sticking up, but it doesn't fold properly. So that's not smart design on the stickers. And that's when stickers don't work. When they're not designed in a way that they fold around the curves they're supposed to properly, then that's no good. Also, you can see on the wing it looks a little mottled, a mottled model, and you can also see it on her top. There are no stickers that are supposed to go on the bottom according to the manual, but you can with the markings. You can see it there too. The white is mottled, it's not full on white. Some of the blue from underneath is showing through. I do have that trouble with my white marker currently, it's watery, but it shouldn't be happening with these stickers. You should be able to see full white there. And the other thing I noticed is that because I already had these wings in, these large stickers, they were hard to fit in. I kept on having to take them off and then put them back on again, which I ended up fixing by cutting the stickers in half with my scissors. So that's again poor design, although it didn't really have to be. But you can also tell this lighter shade of gray, it's showing up on my camera as well. That's plastic. That's sticker. Plastic, sticker, plastic, sticker. You can tell by this shade what is a sticker and what is plastic, and that's kind of weird. Well, here that's plastic, so they did better matching the blue, at least there. But it looks strange in other places, right? I can't be the only one who thinks that. But there are some places where the stickers added to the model. Of course, the wings look more streamlined in design, at least, because you have the pinstripes and everything going down. I do wish that would have been designed a bit better, and the white on here is broken up because that was entirely white. This part of her back skirt bit, to borrow Gunpla terminology, that was entirely white, so that's sticker. That on the bottom is sticker, and the sides there sticker, this. And these on her ear things, stickers. So this is, what, the third time I've cut while I made a change to the model's appearance. The first one we had was no stickers at all, just straight assembly. And the second, I put all the stickers on, just as they were, and tried as best as I could to work with that. And now, I've removed the most offensive stickers, the ones that were falling away due to the lack of adhesiveness on the underside, and I've replaced that with paint. So this is the sort of thing in certain places, like in certain places where you can see where I've done the paint instead. It is tricky to get the inside there on the fins there, but I managed, and I also cut away on the wings around the decals like I said I would, as well as up on her side skirts. Those were peeling away, of course, around the lights, which I mentioned before, as well as on her back skirt itself. The blue stickers were also peeling. So I went and I painted to replace those. I didn't replace these stickers because they're actually working, so I decided that I don't have to go through the effort of the work if something's already working right. That's a sticker that works correctly. So also there I painted a little there as well. So basically, with a more experienced modeler, one who has paints and experience with them, they can basically replace all of the stickers, including the patterns for the wings, simply by masking and painting that way. So the stickers, therefore, for an experienced model they're unnecessary, but for a modeler who has less experience and doesn't mind the stickers, they're going to be a great boon. Although you will have to be careful. You'll have to be careful around the edges, like there, around the front there, the edges of these wings. Basically, anyway, it's curving over, I think, more than 90 degrees. I mean, for the most part. This seems to be okay, but since you never can tell which ones are going to work and which ones aren't, I would advise caution. But painting, as long as you do it right and not in a rushed manner the way I did it, I was the one who rushed, it's going to turn out working okay, I think. Though I do hope that Aoshima improves their sticker process and design over time for, say, their next releases. And who knows, maybe with the upcoming 35th anniversary version, their stickers are maybe a bit better. Before I move on with the rest of the review and such as the transformations, let's go over the articulation, at least for the girl herself. For the plane, as I mentioned before, the wings can come up, but that's it in the fighter mode. So most of the articulation you'll find on her rather than on the plane. So of course the head is on a ball joint on the top of the neck, so it can go up and down, side to side. It can turn for the most part, except that these tails in the front, her hair, can get in the way there. As well, the color thing gets in the way of some of the articulation, but you're going to get enough for most things. These front parts of her hair they're kind of pegged in, so they can move that much. And similarly, these parts are also on tails, so they can move. These are on ball and pegs. If I turn this around, you can sort of see them. So they can go all over whichever direction you might want. That's a better view of the peg. Those just connect there. So they can go pretty much anywhere you want to. The arm goes up pretty much all you would want that way. Of course. Forward and back, the elbow not very much, but since you have the sort of track there, it can go pretty much anywhere you would want to pose it anyway. And there's a cut there at the top of the elbow. That's where this joins the elbow. And of course, that can rotate all the way around. Bend at the elbow. It's double jointed, of course. The hand is ball jointed. The ball joint, though, is pretty small, so it is very, very loose. So watch that. You have the torso bits, so bust, torso, and the bit with the waist. So you have all that to bend, forward and back, a little bit side to side. Nothing at the waist itself. These are pegged in, and then this goes into the track there. So they can go rotate up that far and this far. For the legs, with the skirt thing on, kicks forward that far, backward that far before encountering the back skirt. If you want, you can remove the back skirt. It's pegged in 3 places. Of course, the face can come off to replace it with one of the option things. And with the skirt on, goes that far. It's because of the leg design, I guess, that can only go that far. That's pretty fair. It's not great. It's fair though. And can't really do the jig. It's not exactly universal. The knee can only bend that much. And the ankle is on a peg and joint. So forward that far, back that far. Not really an ankle tilt outside, but inside. Apparently there's a lot. Or maybe I put that on backwards, but it seems to be the case on both. And some rotation, but I would not stress that overly much. I don't know if you can see, but that's already stressed in the middle. But like I said earlier in the first part, there are extra parts that you can use to replace that if you do need to. So articulation is fair, but not overwhelming. Also, this is cut so it can rotate. This is a free roaming ring, so that can go wherever. And that's it for articulation on her. Now for the transformations, we are going to need some parts, and I have them all here. You assemble them after you have assembled all of the parts. For the fighter mode, which of course we have here. And basically, we're going to have to take everything apart and then reassemble it in a different way in order to get this. And one of the shame of this is that we have all of these parts but no stand. And let's see, that came apart pretty easily once I removed that bit. Gotta do the legs. Or is that the whole unit there? I should take that out too. This fuel pod or whatever it is. Just to make sure that's not in the way. Is this unit supposed to? Oh yeah. That whole thing comes off. And let's see. And it wants that way and up. Oh. That whole thing came down. And then like that. Yep. That's gonna fall off a couple of times, so I'm just gonna set it there. And this. The legs. I'm gonna need to turn to the next page. So I'm just going to set that there. This is a good opportunity to either sticker or paint these parts. Alright, if you want to offer yourself a whole new level of grief at a certain point, get stickers. Not that I don't appreciate them to a point, but that point is finite. This one, make sure that this is on the downside. Open that up. It has the thruster on the inside, and that's not going to stay open though, is it? Just so that we have that. And this one opens up on this side. I think it's pretty obvious which side is which. And have to take one of these. This is just a trick knowing which one is which. I assembled these beforehand because I knew that this sort of thing was going to happen. Oh, I didn't do anything with this yet. I can do that later. I need, no pun intended, I need this one. The knee cap comes off. And one of these goes on. Like this for some reason. I should use the other one just to keep my stickering consistent. There we go. You know what? In no way were these supposed to still be attached. Also, I had them facing the wrong way. But now I've got them, so open that up. I'll just stick Not that I can see that. So maybe just straight across is fine. And part of the thing that you build in there. Assuming I can find the bit that's supposed to come up. Okay. That's the platform for the girl's feet. And just close that side, down from these. Although it seriously looks kind of strange. Okay, then we take this part and plug in the legs. I really should just paint those. But I'm not sure I should do that now, considering I'm going to be handling them. The angle is really weird on these. I want it to be able to stand with the legs further apart. Or, you know, standing with those apart pretty much at all. Maybe they're on the wrong sides. I'm feeling justifiably silly for worrying about the outside leg when the thruster always goes to the outside. No, the side that opens with the thruster. And in any case, it turns out that this part can turn. So my concerns aren't valid at all. Now, this needed to be on here, I guess. And these stickers are also peeling. And then this goes back on. I think it wants you to take these parts off up here and rotate these up, but nowhere does it actually say to do it or show to do it. And of course, this is supposed to be on there. You kind of don't like the way that it doesn't show every step here in the manual. So, is this supposed to just go back on the way it was? And then the legs. They're not attached particularly strongly, I guess, since they're just pushed in. Really? I guess you kind of have to hope that you can get all that in and not lose any of it along the way. Of course that goes. I'll be back. Okay, I think I finally got it after about 10 minutes of struggling. When you put that in, I would advise that you hold everything together as much as you can, although you don't need to have the legs in order to also be able to put on the nose cone and steady everything. Then of course you have to put the fins back on because they will fall off. And I also discovered that this thing will take a literal nosedive as it cannot stand on its own, which makes it extremely frustrating that Aoshima decided not to include a stand of any kind with this kit. And I do believe, given the articulation of these things, that I may have put the arms on backwards. But the instructions don't really give an indication, so no. I'm just going to roll with it. So these things went flying. I am glad I decided to go with the clear pieces rather than the ones with the stickers, because I know those stickers are going to peel everywhere. Is that the way it's supposed to go? I think I may have them backwards. I'll find out when I try to put them back on, but otherwise, at this point, I care a lot less than I probably should. And the handlebars being that low on it, I think we're going to have issues putting the hands on. Unless those are needed to take off for the Droid mode, I think I'm going to end up gluing those fins on. I think that's basically it, apart from sticking her on. And of course, the hands themselves are super loose. These are supposed to go there, but I am more worried about the hands. So it turns out all I had to do was bring the feet far forward enough to make contact. There are grooves on the bottom of the shoes. I'm not sure if those are connecting, and at this point, I really don't care whether or not they are. Just that she's sitting there, I finally have the hands on, they're connected to her. The handlebar is on and not flying off. The fins are on and are not flying off. Honestly, if I could, there is a lot on this kit that I would glue together just to make sure that it did not fall off again. But in any case, this is Gearlock mode. And given how pieces are constantly falling off, it's kind of underwhelming. As well, if you are looking from the back, you can definitely see those joints where her legs connect. So it doesn't have the best of appearances. And that's just with it like this. And then of course there's the issue that it leans forward so much that without this Figma stand, it'd be falling over on its nose and on its side, all kinds of things. But in any case, I'm sure you're wondering about the articulation while we're here, and while all of this is together. Of course, the arms can go forward and backward. And if these fins weren't in the way, and the handlebars and everything else, it could turn more. This elbow is bent as far in this direction as it possibly can go at the moment, but it can also go in this direction. And of course, you have these big hands which are on ball joints. You do not have any other opposing hands, even holding hands you don't have. And you can also take these missiles or weapons and turn them around and then remount them facing this direction. With the legs, as you saw before, they can go inward and outward slight, like that. Rotation, just to give it a bit more of a solid base, but I'm sure that I'm not going to be moving it all that much in this form, simply because to do so you'd lose connection with the girl. And of course, her articulation is greatly restricted because she's riding the thing. So her hands and her legs aren't going to go anywhere as long as she's riding. Now, we still have Droid Mode, and that means I've got to take this Gearlock mode apart in order to achieve that, which is a pain in my butt, because of course that means that I have to disassemble everything I worked so hard to achieve here. Let's just pull her to the side for now. Thankfully, she doesn't need any transformation. Well, not in the conventional sense anyway. She is going to be wearing this. So let's see. Gotta take the arms off. Or at least it says so. Oh. Not that off. Just... or was that the arms? I connected the fins to the wrong place. I think, maybe. It's very confusing. Put those to the side. Fins were supposed to be on there. They peg in so loosely and it's hard to tell when they are connected, and even when they are connected they often get knocked off. Anyway, I should take this back off the stand for now, because I have to disassemble the whole thing again. The nose cone, and the bottom, which of course comes apart very easily. Because why would it stay together? And these things on the side of the nose cone part apparently have to come off. And we put the jewel stuff on them. I have no idea whether or not I'm doing it in the right direction. But I suspect I will find out when I try to put everything together again. I do not think that is correct. That fits better. I may be going slightly nuts with all of this, but it still doesn't mess that much with my sense of where things are supposed to be. For some reason it shows me to put the wings up like this, and then, oops. Maybe it's for clearance sake. do like that, and then put the wings back down. The fins actually come out. Like, I would think that's a big loss. This tank thing also comes out. And then we go to the legs again. And this thing can go down. This thing comes out. That comes out. Split that. Straighten her out. Because her legs are about to go in there. Now we get to see how the knee is supposed to go in. It's not the knee part at all. So this tab goes into the slot there. And then that goes like that. And then we use the original knee part without this connection thing in it. And get the correct one. So even if I wanted to, I couldn't glue that in. This goes on to the black part that I've always been wondering about. And then we get one of the original knees. It's the undecaled one on this side. Not that it really matters. And put that there. And then do the same thing on the other side. And let's go further. Oops. That is a long leg. But at least it's secure, you know. I can definitely appreciate a secure leg connection. Let's see. Cut this off. This have to disconnect downward, sort of. And we can put this on. Down. Engine comes out. Alright, cool, tilts down so that I can connect that. More peeling stickers. Let's see, where's the other one? Here. It's backwards. And I'm sure that's the easy part. This thing. Let's put the girl down for now. It's supposed to go that way. Doesn't say which order to do this. But the nose cone should connect here. And that should connect to the wings, which apparently I could reconnect this part, provided I can remember how it goes on in the first place. You know, and not backwards. Okay, and now this is supposed to reconnect on here. And so we now know that this connection is not very solid and will come apart at the drop of a hat. Take this one. Okay, I might have this now. So you're supposed to take this part that was over down here and essentially bring it forward like this. Or rather, to bring it down. It was up here, you bring it down so that it's like this. And that should give you enough clearance to take this piece and put it over here. You're supposed to put this back on. The steps are so convoluted here. And then you have to have these holes exposed, which in the case of this one will most likely mean pulling that sticker back so that you can remove this little piece, which I am never going to put back on again because I don't want to have to take it off again. I didn't understand at the time what it was for. Now I do, and now I won't use that. So I think a bunch of stuff is going to fall off again. Let's try to get the hair out of the way. Perhaps. It doesn't indicate that you have to, but I like to be prepared. That's not going in. Try back, maybe. And part of that came out. Put it back in. It doesn't look like a good connection though. I'm going to, oops, break stuff apparently. Yeah. At this point, I am a broken, desperate man. This model, it's pushed me past my patience, past the very edge, due mostly to the collection of weak, incredibly weak connection points. I have given it numerous tries trying to put things together, and things keep on falling apart. Well, if I'm going to give it any last try, any last resort, it's going to be with glue, and so it shall be some time before I try putting this thing back together again. And if I thought that the Gearwalker mode was frustrating to make, hoo boy, just fitting the hands and everything onto these handlebars, while this might have taken 5 minutes, it's been probably about half an hour and I still haven't gotten this thing on. So, I'm going to take a good look at all the connections I can glue, put that together, and then take one last crack at this. But otherwise, I am not going to be able to continue this review by showing you Droid Mode. I hope I can, but I don't know if I can, and at this point, I cannot recommend this model. The sad part, the frustrating part, it really was just that simple. All I had to do was give up on trying to assemble it normally and use my plastic cement. What kind of lesson is that? Give up. Cheat. I really didn't want to do that, but it seems to have been necessary. And the sad part is that the frustration isn't exactly over either. But this is Droid Mode, anyway. Apart from, well, the instructions don't say to do it, but the end parts for those things, you can put them on because those pegs are there, and they're not doing anything else. The only other gripe I have, design-wise at least, is that the underside of the wings are so plain. You have all that empty space there. You'd fill it with something. I mean, they had all those huge stickers, though I guess there wasn't any room left in the budget for that. I don't know. Plus, you've still got the fins to deal with, which are loose, and you couldn't glue those on because they either have to go into the mech shoulders there, or into the side of the plane's fuselage on these parts, I think, on the side. So it's something that you can't glue on because you're going to be switching it around anyway. But in any case, I should show you the parts that I glued so that you will know. And also, I should show you the articulation, because while the armor is on the girl, you actually have some articulation at least. And yes, she is going to be back heavy, very, very back heavy. So one part I glued, just to make sure that it wouldn't fall out. I glued that part here into the gray parts on both sides, of course. And I glued this part here into the blue so that it wouldn't fall out. It was constantly falling out, as was the blue part from the backing. This blue part, it has a small peg and port connection that really wasn't doing what it was supposed to in keeping connected, so I glued that in, and that made it much easier to take the whole back assembly and glue it and connect everything together so that it would snap together and stay together. And one of the frustrating parts of trying to do that without the plastic cement was that you couldn't push in from the back to connect this into the mounting here into her back without everything falling apart, because pushing that would pop all that out. With everything cemented properly together, though, it became really easy to bring everything together and connect it into her back. So it was really, really easy to bring everything together once you cheated and used glue. I also, just for security's sake, use some glue on the other knees, the ones for the gearlock mode, these things, so that they wouldn't fall off, because those don't get changed. Not that you fell off the stand again. You do have this adapter so that you have an angle, but the Figma stand can go to any angle you want anyway. It's just a matter of, in this case, getting it between the fuselage here and the port here. Now the reason why I said that the frustration doesn't end is because these parts, and you just saw that fall off, are only held on to here using friction. So because these are parts that get switched around, it's also used in the fighter mode, of course, then what you would probably end up doing is using some nail polish or some paint to thicken up that connection, because that just falls off really easily, and it's really, really annoying that you still have pieces that do that. But it's the only way that it's connected there. There's nowhere else for that piece, no other way for it to become connected to that part. Also, it would be nice to have some armor come over her chest to protect her there, but it just doesn't happen, so we'll just deal with what we have. Articulation wise, of course, the wings can fold back, as always. These arms still have only that much bend, and they can rotate, of course, and they can rotate here where they're connected to the frame part that you use for this mode. Those are going to keep falling off. Her arm articulation is going to be somewhat hindered by the harness, but you can move it away, out of the way a bit. But really, in this mode, you don't really expect to have a whole lot of articulation anyway. You know, she's just going to be either doing punches with the robot's arm, or firing the missiles or lasers or whatever they are, using the shields over here on the side. It's not really going to be that much that you're going to expect, I think. Then the other major part are the legs. Of course, the armor is on her legs, so that will pop off. I want to show the limit. So it can go up that far, and that is along the leg. Sideways, of course, that's going to pop up again. Backwards, really limited by her back skirt. I suppose you could take that off since nothing else connects to it, but then you're dealing with a long peg connected to her butt. That's completely up to you though. Of course, you have this turbine engine thing here that's not going to go in at all due to her actual leg being there. We have a pretty okay knee bend, not terrific, about 90 degrees. And the ankle, which was the thruster on the fighter mode, tilts that way, all the way down, not really much up before it disconnects from that ball joint that it's on, and around only that far before it contacts and conflicts with that ankle guard, which was the end before the thruster, and of course it can go like that to become the thruster. So I guess if she was flying quickly, you would do that. and then she would just be soaring through the sky like this. So that is pretty much Droid Mode. So as to final thoughts and recommendations concerning this model kit, the ACKS VFG Siegfried, what can I say about it? Would I recommend it? Very important questions here. Well, first of all, this concept on paper, it's very cool because you basically have two kits together. You have a character image girl and you have a mech, transforming mech, although it's a partsformer. And I can indeed understand why you would want to have a partsformer as opposed to a transformer, because with partsforming you can have additional stability in its alternate modes because it has specific frames to support it. However, and this is critical, even if you have a partsformer, you do need to have strong connections in order to support that frame and all of the parts on it. And this is an area that Aoshima and their design team can learn from, hopefully in order to review for the next iterations, anything else they may decide to develop, so that they can produce a superior product that can function as it's supposed to without additional modifications, even something as simple as using plastic cement. As it is, while I was trying to switch the modes, I kept thinking, this isn't worth it. This is too much frustration. I give up. And so basically, if someone is building this and they don't have a lot of patience, they may just give up out of frustration, out of sheer frustration, and you never want that on your model kit. So I cannot recommend this to a person who doesn't have a certain level of patience or zen or whatever to be able to complete this, because otherwise they're not going to get their money's worth if they can't complete all the different transformations and forms on this. Then it becomes less worth it. Now, do you need to have everything that's here? No, you don't. You can, if you want, just have the VF, the fighter itself, because it can do fighter mode and Droid mode on its own without the girl. It's only in this mode, rather the Gearwalk mode, it can do without the girl. Droid mode, it needs the girl because it serves as the frame for Droid mode. But in Gearwalk mode and fighter mode, it doesn't really need the girl. You can skip the handlebars and have it just out on its own. One of the biggest issues with Gearwalk mode, other than the weight, is that the legs can only move inward and outward. So it can't actually walk or anything. You're not going to get that sort of posability out of it. So it's not going to be something that you're going to have playability with as you would a high grade. And in any case, the price point is more akin to that of a master grade or an FA girl or a Megami device. So it's not going to be the kind of thing that you're going to play and pose with often, I think. As well, you have some issues with the stickers because they're designed in such a way that they can have trouble around the curves, and there are a lot of curves and planes for those stickers to go around. As a result, if you use the stickers, you can have them sticking up around the wings, and there are a lot of wings, as well as around those. So any surface that you have to turn in order to apply it to is a surface that it can peel off of as well. And even if you can't see, there are other places where it's starting to peel off, and all of it can be also done, I think, with paint if you really wanted to. It just takes the effort in order to finish this. And if you want something that's a snap build, out of the box build, it's going to need a lot of work. This isn't the one for you if you want an out of the box build, I think. Because even though it looks okay without paint or stickers, it does look better with those on it. So there is that. If you don't mind putting in some effort, if you don't mind having to work around certain things, and if you don't mind some limited accessories because you don't have the hands that are shown on the box for the Droid. You don't have open hands, you just have closed hands. They can't hold anything, and there aren't any additional weapons for it. I'm not sure how it works in Macross, but you don't have the kinds of accessories that you would get with a Gunpla or with an Fighter Girl. Apart from Innocentia, it doesn't come with anything to hold anyway, but she does come with alternate options. Now, I do appreciate that there is some articulation, and I also appreciate the options that you get when you do have options, such as using these clear pink parts instead of having to use blue parts and white parts and then put stickers over top of those. But you could have a design that's more with colored plastic and less with stickers in order to cut that down. I do understand that there's a cost factor, but it's also a factor that can affect how much or how little the builder enjoys it. And quite honestly, this wasn't that enjoyable of a build. Some other things that they did well, while the articulation itself isn't on the level of an FA Girl or frame arms, I can appreciate that they have the faceplates that you can trade off, and that there is additional articulation with the hair in the front and the back, and some in the sides, as opposed to it being completely stationary and blocking the neck articulation. And while the neck articulation may be a bit strange, it's restricted somewhat by the color part, you still have some. You can still work with it, and you can still have her looking around. And you could have her, as you saw, interacting in different ways with the VF part of this kit. So it still does have pluses, but it also has a lot of areas where it can be worked on. I mean, like the stickers, the way that it's modeled instead of being solid is something that I think could be worked upon. While setting up this comparison shot, I did get a reminder that the lack of an included stand is also something that can get in the way. So if you don't already have a stand, I guess Aoshima is wanting you to get one of theirs. But in any case, here is the VF-31J Siegfried, together with a standard size SD, a standard size HG, and one of my custom Ruby Gundam project Fuminas. Try to guess who. And how about a more direct size comparison with Frame Arms Girl Baihu and Megami Device Astra Archer, my new favorite, as well as in the back the Full Mechanics Vidar, just for size as well as appearance comparisons. And remember, on Archer and Baihu, there is no paint that I did, although I did use some glue in some places, especially on her. So you can see, even though Vidar is standing in the back behind her, how much of a height difference there is. Anyway, that about does it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a lot from it. If you did, you can leave a like, comment below what you thought, subscribe to show your support for my channel, and visit my Patreon. So thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.